right, guys, as you can see behind us here, we are at the Biltmore house.
Yay!
I'm telling you, it is the most stunning sight you'll see. I mean, it's just...
Oh, it's spectacular, guys.
Words, I mean, I know I say this every video we go somewhere, words can't do it justice. When you come in here, the road where you get up here to the house is called 3 Mile Approach. So it's literally 3 miles from the access gate to up here at the house.
He had a 3-mile-long driveway.
And of course, you know, now, I mean, you can drive up here, this is part of the exit now, but you can't park this close to the house. You have to park down here and you walk up. But it's not a very far walk, and then normally they have shuttles going. Obviously they don't today with still the ending of the COVID stuff. But,
Right.
But normally you can ride shuttles up here and they'll take you all the way up right up to the very front door of the house. But I'll tell you, what's so neat is when you come up here, when you're coming up the road, you never see the house until right here.
Yeah.
This is the view you see when the road comes out of the woods, and it's an exact right turn to the house.
It is such a grand reveal.
He did that on purpose because he didn't want any guests coming to the house and being able to get glimpses of the house before they've got the grand reveal.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, it is stunning. It is unlike anything I've ever seen anywhere else in my life.
Well, and there is so much attention paid to every single detail of the layout. It
Yes.
is just amazing.
He bought 125,000 acres
It's insane.
to build this dream of his. And you gotta remember, there was no roads. There was no towns when he did all this. To get stuff in here, he built his own railroad to bring
The supplies, yeah, and
into
the
the
stone.
house, and then they did away with the railroad after they built the house. I'll tell you how far in advance he thought. When he was doing his grand reveal, when he wanted to invite family and everything after the house was done, he didn't want anybody to be able to see any remnants of construction.
Yep, no scars of construction were supposed to be visible when everybody came to see the house for the first time.
And so what you can't see, but we'll show you, over here off to this side is a greenhouse down the hill. So as soon as he started building the house, he started growing his own trees and flowers and everything that you see around here in the compound. And he did that so that they would be mature by the time the house was finished.
Yes, they actually put in the landscaping before they built the house.
Yes. And so that way, as soon as construction was finished, the yard was done, all the mature trees was in, all the bushes, everything was done. I'll tell you another interesting fact too. This house is built completely out of stone.
Yes.
And they did that because back in the day, again, there wasn't fire departments. Even in the cities, when you got in the cities, the fire departments was so small and so far out that fire was a big issue. So when he built this house, he basically wanted a fireproof house.
Yes.
And so that's why he picked the stone he did to build this house. And then what's interesting is, before he would let all these stonemasons in here to build on the house, he made him come out and practice. So they started building all these retaining walls, the greenhouse, and all these other buildings outside of the estate first.
Before they were allowed to actually work on the
Because
home.
he wanted them to get to learn to work as a team. And that way, if there was any mistakes, it was on something that wasn't as important and could be redone more easily than in the house. Because this house is deep. I think these walls go, was it 50 or 80 foot deep?
I can't remember. We'll check it out.
It's got
and
a
put
full
it down
basement. I
below,
mean, as if the house isn't big enough already. There's a full basement with a swimming pool and bowling alley underneath this house.
Yes.
And so, I mean, it's just astounding. So, if you guys like this stuff, we hope you like it. Obviously, you can tell we love it. So we're big history buffs. But I hope that's some neat little facts that you maybe didn't know before. And we'll try to share some other stuff with you as we go through. But again, this view is just, it's.
I could sit and look at it all day long.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just a lost of words. Just so beautiful.
Yep.
So please come up here, enjoy it sometime. You can come up here in the day and not even have to come in the house if you don't want to. You can come up here and just tour all the gardens and stuff. There is miles and miles and miles of biking trails that they've got set up in here.
Yes,
hiking
biking.
trails.
And you can even use their stables and go on horseback rides.
Yes, they have carriage rides if you're into that. And back in the other parts, and I'm sure down here below too, you can. There's plenty of places where you can bring a picnic lunch. And so, you know, this is very doable on a budget. Yes, you have to buy a ticket to get in or a season pass holder to get in, but there is so much in here to do after that that doesn't cost you a penny.
Yep.
And so I urge you, come up here and check it out. You won't regret this one, guys. I'm telling you, this is a favorite place.
Yep, it's awesome.
Hey everybody, we are fixing to go into the Biltmore house. It's just about our time to go in. Just want to let you guys in on a few things here. And you know us, if you've been watching our channel anytime at all, we never show you too much. We want to show you just enough to make you interested and to come visit here yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
But in this instance, they do not allow video recording inside.
No.
They did say we could take a few pictures inside, and so we'll do that very carefully. And you know, you can't use any flashing like that. And so we'll try to take a few snapshots, but just want to let you know that, you know, we will not be videoing inside. We want to adhere to the rules and respect their property here.
Definitely, and we're so appreciative because this allowing photography at all is a new development.
Yes.
In days past, you were not able to take any pictures whatsoever. Now you can take still photography for personal use only, and with no flash.
Yeah, last time we was up here, you wasn't allowed cameras inside at all. You couldn't take pictures inside at all. So we'll give you just a little touch just to make you want to come see it. And we hope you enjoy it. And we'll explain some things along the way as we can. But just wanted to give you a heads up on why there won't be any video inside, anything like that. But I hope we've shown you enough of just the outside views and stuff, and the house itself that will make you want to come see this place.
It's stunning, guys. Come see it yourself. This here, guys, is the Italian gardens. They have them a little bit under construction right now. One in the middle is all drained and they're reconstructing it, but it is phenomenal. It's gorgeous.
Alright guys, we're up here on one of the terraces, just right off the house. The house is right here to our left. And just saying, can you imagine this being your view?
This is their backyard.
Every single day. And can you imagine this? I mean, this terrace is about the size almost of a football field.
It's crazy.
This is just the one up next to the house. This isn't all of them. It's crazy, but it's beautiful.
And it's windy.
Interestingly enough, we actually took our picture right here
On our honeymoon.
in this exact same spot
Yes.
on our honeymoon 5.5 years ago.
Yep.
So I guess that's another reason why this place is pretty special to us. We actually got married on 12/13/14 and was up here the day after and took our picture right here, although in coats instead of short sleeves and shorts like we are today.
It was quite chilly in December.
But this spot's pretty special to us.
Yep, we love it, guys, and I know you will too.
So these walls right here, guys, are what we was telling you about earlier, that he had the stonemasons and everything like that. They built these first. This is just right above or right below where we was up on that terrace earlier. And so they put all these in place before they ever began construction on the house. That way, if there was a problem with the crews, problem with the materials, they found it out before they ever got to the house. And I mean, you see this wall's massive. Alright guys, we're down here in the rose garden, which as you can see, I mean, it's gorgeous. And then right behind us is the conservatory and the greenhouses. And this is where they set up, where they actually started growing plants and everything before they ever started construction on the house. But these gardens are just magnificent when you walk through them down here.
Well, and the Vanderbilts used to host these grand parties up in the main house, and so they would grow all these elaborate flowers down here in the greenhouse and then ship them up to the house and bring them up through a trapdoor in the floor from the basement up for the parties. So, I mean, I just can't even imagine how spectacular that would have been.
Everything you see in the house, the flowers that they use, a lot of the restaurants, they grow their own food here. They use these flowers for decorations inside the house. It is still a working farm. They raise cattle out here.
They grow vegetables. They provide their own meat. Our lunch today, the beef was actually Biltmore grown beef.
Yeah, and so it's pretty astounding when you think about it, how self-sustaining it really is.
Yes, it's awe-inspiring.
All right, folks, we got up here, and we're at probably the farthest back in Biltmore Estate that you can kind of go, just as a normal visitor. We're back up here at Antler Hill, And this is back in here is actually the old horse stables and the barn area. They have some really neat exhibits back up in here. Normally they actually even have working craftsmen back up in here. They have woodworkers
and food, and they do horseshoes.
Yeah, they have a smithy and all that kind of stuff back in here normally.
Yeah.
We're just coming out of this COVID thing, so things are still limited on opening, so they don't have this part actually open as far as the craftsman yet, but you can still walk through back in here.
And there's still great things to see back in here, lots of information and lots of history.
Yeah, they've got a lot of antique farm equipment, because again, when they first built this place back in here, it was a working farm. And if you notice, we showed you a shot of the tree right here behind us here that it fell. That tree was planted in 1888.
Just as George Vanderbilt had found this property and started to buy it, that's when this tree was first growing.
Yeah, and it actually fell in 2004. So I mean, it's one of the biggest trees I've ever seen. And they actually have dots on. I'll show the video here on the timeline back up in here, where it shows along the way of big milestones of where they actually started building the house, and you know, when George Vanderbilt actually died, and all along the way on this tree here. So it's pretty neat to see the timeline elapse through the rings of this tree. Well,
and to know that tree stood through all of those years is just so amazing.
Yeah, and so basically back in 1888 here on this little timeline here shows where he actually found this land and loved it so much he started buying it up. He ended up buying a total of 125,000 acres, which is huge. Now today it's only an 8,000 acre estate, because what happens after a few years after he died, his wife actually sold off 87,000 acres to start the first national forest system. And so, you know, back when and if you read this timeline, I won't bore you with it all, but if you go back and read some of the history here, whenever he bought up all this land, he brought in the very first guy that actually started the National Forestry Service. After he left here, after he helped Vanderbilt build this estate and get it landscaped, he went on to start the Forestry Service, and that's who later his wife ended up selling 87,000 acres to start the first national forest. And if I remember correctly, the guy that actually helped build the gardens back up here at the main area actually went on to do Central Park after. I can't remember if Central Park came first and this came second, or vice versa.
We'll have to check on that. Yeah.
But you know, the guy that was involved with Central Park in New York City was actually involved with the gardens up at the main house. And we'll show you later.
Needless to say, it's very impressive.
Yeah, there's a lot of history here, guys. If you're a history buff, man, you can go on overload here. All right, everybody, we just had a fabulous, I guess, lunch dinner.
Late lunch, early dinner.
We do that a lot at Cedric's Tavern up here in the Antler Village.
Oh, I'm so stuffed. The food was awesome, guys.
And if you don't know who Cedric is, it was the family dog.
Yes.
And he's a famous dog.
Yes, he was a St. Bernard who was brought here by George Vanderbilt right about the same time that the Biltmore Estate was opened as a home, and he brought this St. Bernard from Maine from where his summer home was, brought the St. Bernard here to Biltmore Estate, and he basically lived like a king and had free reign of the house.
Yeah, and so it's pretty neat. There's a lot of family photos with a dog. They've actually statue and everything up there of it, and so it's a pretty neat story. Again, neat place to have lunch.
Make sure you come to Antler Village and check out Cedric's Tavern, and while you're there, go have a look at his collar.
Yes.
Yeah, they do have his collar on display.
Yeah. Guys, we just wrapped up our visit at Biltmore House. We are on the exit out, but that's about a 5-mile exit, no joke.
Yeah.
To get out of here, so we just tried to find a nice little place here to pull over. Just to summarize everything, just to give you a little bit more history of the Biltmore House, it is 250 rooms.
It's enormous.
43 bathrooms.
Yes.
And you got to consider this, guys. It was 43 bathrooms when most houses in America, this was early 1900s.
Yeah, they didn't. Most houses didn't even have an indoor bathroom, and they had 43.
I mean, they even had, you know, the first electrical system, first light bulbs,
flushing toilets. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, and just to give you perspective on size, it is still to this day the largest privately owned home in America. And so, I mean, to say it's huge is an understatement.
And it is still privately owned by the descendants of George Vanderbilt.
Yes.
His daughter married, and I believe it's 4th generation removed from George Vanderbilt is the family members that own the home today.
Yeah. And so, you know, when you come up here, like I say, we spent the whole weekend up here. We've been up here for 2 days. And to be honest, we still didn't do everything.
Oh, not even.
So
not
you
even
can
close.
spend a lot of time up here. You can spend a little time, come back multiple times. However you want to do it, there's something for everybody here.
Well,
also wanted to mention that they do have RV and bus parking.
Yes.
So, and I mean, we've seen big Class A's come in here yesterday and park. So they have, I mean, that tons of parking for RVs and everything in multiple different locations. They got them at the house. They've got them back here at the winery.
Yes.
And speaking of that, I don't know if I mentioned the other day, they do have a full winery here on the estate that you can go in. They got free wine tasting and some beautiful wines there that you can buy bottles and take with you.
For sure. And if you guys like to bike, bring your bicycles. There's tons of trails for you to bike on. I mean, words can't even express how much there is to do here.
Yeah, there's a bass pond not too far from the house up here with a waterfall coming out of it. I mean, it's just, there's so much to do that you can't possibly do it all. And like I say, we've spent the whole weekend here and still can't possibly do everything. So,
Yeah.
so be sure to check it out, guys. And like I say, thank goodness we're back on the road finally. We're finally getting to do some things.
Yes.
Still a little bit limited. We are following all CDC guidelines. Biltmore House here, they had to follow CDC guidelines.
Yep.
And so, you know, I'm sure that'll still be in effect for the next few months at more places we go to. But even though you don't see a mask on us here now, it's because we're out here in the middle of a field.
Yes.
When we was in the house, they did require it to be on the whole time we was in the house. So
Yep.
just, you know, don't think we're trying to buck the system or anything like that. We're following all the guidelines.
Definitely.
And doing what we have to do.
Yep.
But I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it makes you want to come to Biltmore. We will actually be back here again this fall to do when the leaves start changing colors, and we will definitely be back here this Christmas to show you the Christmas decorations.
For sure. Yep.
And so be sure to check in every week, Sunday at 6. We got a new video for you every week.
Yep. See you next time, guys.